This is Inanna Joy back with another video, encouraging you, inviting you to jump into the JoyWell with me, where we swim around in the energy of gratitude and joyfulness, where we follow our bliss to our happiness, align with our joy, and live well. I'm feeling a little distracted at the moment though, because for some reason, whenever I get ready to do a video, it's like I'm actually having a conversation in person with somebody, so I feel like I have to throw a piece of gum in my mouth. So just give me a second. Introduce yourselves to Lily here. You know, she's taking a little nap, but she's taking a nap, but I'm hoping that she will remain calm and not start darting around in the video and crawling all on me while I'm trying to talk to y'all. Because I got a few things that I think are pretty interesting that I want to talk to y'all about without cat distractions. Now, before I get too far into the video, you know, y'all can see that I'm pretty new to these YouTube streets, so I definitely need y'all to like, comment, share, subscribe, hit the notification button so we can continue having these conversations. Let me know what y'all want to talk about so, you know, we can learn from each other. But anyway, the thing that's got me on here right now is this subject that I've been kind of ruminating over. You know, sometimes you get into a relationship and you get to that point where you feel like there isn't the compatibility that there once was, or maybe the relationship gets stagnant. You know, obviously it takes two people to make a relationship work, but you know, a lot of times people find themselves in situations where there isn't that mutual interest in making the relationship one that is mutually satisfying and beneficial for both people in it, right? So the person typically who is in a situation like that, who feels like they're not getting their needs met, or that the relationship is not providing for them what they feel they want or need, that person will clearly, you know, feel the need to leave the relationship, right? But what happens a lot of times is when that person decides they're going to walk, that's when all of a sudden the other person wakes up almost as if from a stupor. You know, that's when they want to jump up, you know, wipe the drool off of their mouth and the crust out of their eyes, and decide that they're going to try to be alert or perform, you know, put on some performance as if they've changed and they've suddenly come to their senses. They've suddenly come to some realization of how much they appreciate you, and now they want to make a change so that you both can feel happy and heard and well cared for within this relationship. You know how that go. They've been damn near catatonic for the whole relationship, and now that you're walking out the door, all of a sudden, you know, they want to wake up. Y'all know what catatonic is, right? Okay, so for those of y'all who aren't nerds like I am, and who didn't grow up on movies like One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, you know, all kinds of psychological dramas and stuff like that, catatonia is a form of schizophrenia where a person can be, you know, in mid-movement of whatever, and all of a sudden they have some sort of glitch in their brain that causes them to just freeze, and they can be sitting there for hours at a time. So when I say that a person that you're in a relationship with behaves as if they're catatonic, I mean someone who behaves as if they're in suspended animation for a significant portion of the relationship when it comes to the things that you want and need. They basically just be like, you know what I'm saying? They just freeze. They, you know, they ain't suspended animation. They ain't hearing you. They ain't seeing you. They don't know what's going on. They just, that's what I'm saying. You know, they just freeze. And it could be for hours, days, weeks, months, years at a time that they just be. But what I personally think is very important for you to remember is that in situations like that, more often than not, that person is not suddenly waking up and making a change that's going to last, or they're not waking up and making a change because they actually care about you. Okay, so if somebody only cares about you when you're walking out the door, if they only respond to you when the proverbial roof is caving in the relationship, if you're walking away is the only thing that shakes them out of their selfishness, causes them to momentarily now, listen to your concerns and perform a change for the better, then you need to keep walking. Because it will always require a big blow up or some major catastrophe within the relationship. It's always going to require you going over the deep end, going off the deep end, some big dramatic reaction on your part to make them wake up and pay attention to you. And even that, after a while, will no longer work. After a while, they'll become desensitized to the fighting and the arguing and to the reactionary behavior. And even that won't be enough to make them listen to you or care about your concerns in the relationship. And do you want to be in a position where you're constantly having to disrupt your own peace in order to get this person's attention? When you are in a relationship with somebody who only reacts to you in a catastrophe, somebody who only responds to you, is only willing to listen to your concerns when everything is on the line, then your well-being, your happiness in that relationship is not their concern. Their concern is their comfort. Because when all of a sudden they decide that they see you walking out the door, what's happening is once they start to recognize that you're actually serious about leaving in order to be happier, in order to be more at peace, in order to find what you really deserve, once it clicks in their mind that, okay, you're walking out, you're done, you're pulling away your energy, right? That was energy that once fed them and kept them feeling satisfied in the relationship. Now all of a sudden they're feeling that source of energy leaving them. It's almost as if they're seeing a food source walk out the door. It's like the idea of the energy vampire that you hear people talking about. If you're in a relationship that is that unbalanced, this person is clearly benefiting from the energy, the effort that you're putting into the relationship. It's almost as if they're feeding on you. They see you walk out the door, it's like watching a food source leave. They feel that loss of your positivity, that loss of your energy. It is quite likely that that is the first time that they are feeling a deficit within the relationship, because all along they've potentially been feeling an energetic surplus because they've had you there caring for them, contributing to their happiness, their well-being in some way or another. And now that that's no longer there, they feel that loss. They are responding to that loss, not to you. So, and I know so many times people experience this. Just as they're getting ready to walk out the door, you feel that temptation to stay. Some of y'all give in to that temptation to stay because that person starts pouring out their heart. They might even start crying. Oh, they can put on a performance. They might cry and grovel at your feet. They might clean the whole house where they never cleaned the house before. They might go out and buy you some beautiful gift. They may pull out all of the stops for a short period of time to give you the impression that they've changed or that they appreciate you, that they see you in a new light. But all you got to do is wait a little while and see if their behavior changes. See if they actually recognize or have any sense of empathy for how you actually felt in that relationship. See if those changes in behavior last. See if, they continue to do all of the things that you were asking them to do. See if they continue to actually listen with compassion and empathy in the long run. You have to give yourself some time to see that if you decide that you're going to stick around and give them the opportunity. Because here's the thing. People can change, but you better believe they're going to do it on their time, not yours. So you can choose to give somebody a chance, to change and, you know, wait around for all of that to happen, or you can turn your back and, you know, you can still, I don't know, maybe communicate with them and see if they're going to make gestures over time while you continue to live your life and do whatever you're going to do. And if you decide that you like what you see, you go back. But, you know, I just am not an advocate at this particular stage in my life. I'm not an advocate. After what I've seen and what I've experienced and, you know, what I've seen people do in relationships, I'm not an advocate for telling people to wait around for someone who's already had so much time to prove to you what you mean to them. If they've had you in the palm of their hand for months, years, and all of a sudden, when you're walking out the door, that's the moment when they decide that they're going to make a change for the better, you can almost be certain that it's not going to be a true change. Now, in addition to the sense of loss, that I think is a primary motivation for people, you know, kind of waking up right quick, waking up, coming to their senses, you know, all of a sudden when they see somebody walking out the door. In addition to that sense of loss, I think that there are a few other motivators, for why people behave out of such a sense of desperation to the point that they would attempt to perform, you know, caring for you all of a sudden when you're walking out the door. Not just that they feel this loss of energy, but also because of a bruised ego, right? This could have been a relationship where you always poured out your heart to this person, or you were always the one who tried to move the relationship forward. You were the one who, you were the heart. You were the heart of the relationship. So deep down, this person saw you as having a weakness, as being the weak one, because you always cared, you were always willing to give even when they weren't, until you got fed up. So they never actually saw you as someone who would have the balls to get up and leave. Like, you know, their ego had them feeling a sense of security, a false sense of security, a sense of, you know, just arrogance, and thinking, well, you know, this person will never leave. They love me, they care about me, they, you know, this is, they give and I'm comfortable, and that's just the way it's going to be. And then some people's egos are so big that they feel that they're so wonderful that they can never be left, and they get, you know, the shock of a lifetime. Another reason I think that people respond the way that they do when they get left sometimes is because they now have to face, they really actually have to face the reality of how they behaved in a relationship. And maybe there's some guilt tied to that. Maybe there is a little bit of empathy that they start to feel, because now that they're alone and they're sitting in the silence of what has just happened, because you're no longer there feeding them energy and, you know, giving them a sense of comfort. Now they have to sit in their discomfort. Now they have to sit in their silence or their, you know, possible loneliness in that moment and face the music. Now the memories are coming back of all of the things that you did in that relationship to try to make it work, to try to make it better. And they can remember all of the times that they rejected those efforts. And they're feeling the guilt of that. And there's one other reason that I think people respond, you know, they suddenly wake up momentarily the way that they do when someone leaves them, is because they're coming to the realization that this relationship is over and other people will know. Other people are going to be aware of the fact that you two are no longer together. And because you are the one who initiated, possibly, I'm talking to everybody, whether you the leaver or the leavee or whatever, the one who has been left is left trying to explain what happened in the relationship. And the leaver has to explain it too, but the leaver, I think a lot of times in situations like this, you know, they're not necessarily the ones carrying guilt. They're the ones who are walking away finally feeling a sense of freedom and relief and self-love and having a new outlook on life, because they no longer have this burden of this relationship hanging over them. So the person who was left, the person who did not desire for the relationship to be over, the person who didn't initiate it, the ending has to explain to their family, friends, whoever, why they're no longer together. They don't have to explain it, but a lot of times people feel obligated to do that because the people around you who care about you, they know you were in this relationship, especially if it was a relationship that was for a significant period of time, or if it was a marriage or whatever. These things have to be explained to the people in our lives, the people who care about us, right? So now that person has all of these things potentially falling on them. They have the guilt and the memories of how they behaved in the relationship. They have to explain to family and friends why you're no longer together, and they have to make up a story about it if they don't want to feel like they're telling on themselves, or they don't want to feel embarrassed to admit that they were a significant contributor to the relationship being over. They have this bruised ego, possibly, and this loss of an energetic source that was contributing something very positive to their life. But what I think is very compelling? To me, I'm always drawing symbols from things. There's some symbolism in this to me. I feel like when someone only responds to you when your back is turned, that is because the only thing they ever really wanted was to see your back. So that's what you got to show them. And here's what I mean by that. They never really had any genuine desire to face you head on, to deal with you in a face-to-face manner. They never had a genuine interest or any intention of engaging fully with you in order to build your relationship into one that was mutually beneficial. I think that is a very, clear as above, so below sort of analogous type of situation. They only respond to seeing your back because that's all they ever really wanted. They never wanted to deal with you head on. And so if you allow yourself to see it that way and understand the psychology behind that, and why people behave the way that they do like that in relationships, then it should be easy to walk away and keep walking and not keep wasting your time with someone who only reacts to the sight of you walking out the door. This is Inanna Joy, just sharing with you some of the things that love and life have taught me. My ideas, my ideals may change as I learn more, but that's what evolution is, right? It's growth, it's change, it's movement, without which we die. So enjoy the movement with me. Like, share, comment, subscribe, turn on the notifications, and stay tuned.